only wants you to make good beer. And have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono. Today on the program we have a slice of Alabama beer. We will talk about how this stuff arrived. We will taste some of them. I don't know if we will taste all of them, but we will get into this in a minute. As you can see, we have dove
into the deep
jumped end. We're in it to win it.
We're in an Alabama creek.
So Gary is the fine gentleman who sent this survey of Alabama beer to me. He asked me if I was interested, and I first didn't know if he would want to do a trade. He's like, no, I'll just send you some stuff. I was like, yeah, I don't think I know a single brewery in Alabama.
To which you should have replied, Roll Tide.
Not informed enough. Sorry about that. He sent me a really nice note. He said he's been brewing all grain for a couple of years. He really enjoys it. He watched my channel, he watched Brewing TV. It's helped him in his brewing. There hasn't been Brewing TV for way more than 2 years. That's interesting. He's like gone back and he's gone back and watched the good.
Watch Chop and Brew if you haven't.
Yeah, that's right. Tell Chip and Brian Adams, Roll Tide.
Yeah, Brian Adams, Roll Tide.
Is there a is he like the other school?
He does like the other school.
So Eagle, the War, what is the I don't even know.
Keep guessing? I want to hear how silly
War Eagle? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an Auburn.
I don't know anything about that business.
Roll Tide, Brian Adams and Gary.
If I ever brew something good, I'll send you a couple bottles. He still feels like he's getting better at brewing, and yeah, this was so nice of you to send all this stuff. We have been doing some sampling, and what we thought how this video might go, it's sort of off camera is possibly turning into a slightly different video. Most of these canned on dates are a couple months old, which doesn't mean that that's too old. A 2-month-old pale ale could still be pretty solid. But Chip has interesting experience in tasting beers that vary. The condition will vary depending on how they've been stored. So if they're sitting somewhere in room temp, or even warmer, I suppose, like some warehouse somewhere in the south, that can greatly affect the ability of the beer. Because
a warehouse in August.
Some of these beers,
September,
I believe, are not probably as good as they would be if you were at the brewery getting it, you know, if they had a tap room, or if it was like a cold stored keg or cold stored packages. Many of them are just probably not at their peak. I think the good people brewing pale ale, it's just a little, it's just kind of old tasting, I guess.
This tastes warm stored at retail. This beer was probably awesome when it left the brewery. The package on date is kind of smeared, so we can't figure it out. But I just know from working at a brewery that was very anal about its sensory program that this tastes like a probably pretty good hoppy beer that was warm stored for 45 days, 30 to 45 days.
One of the ones I do like more is the
I like both of these.
Yellowhammer.
Yeah.
Cheatin Heart IPA. Is that this one? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I think has a interesting husky graininess to it.
It's almost got like a melony strawberry thing going on without tasting like it's been hit with actual fruit, like from the hops probably.
Oh, interesting. The hops are coming through all right. It has Azaka, which I'm not super familiar with, and Mosaic, which of course I'm a little more familiar with. But this one I think is, well, it's definitely the better of those first two that we mentioned.
And then going into the Avondale, I like this one, and it is. I thought there was a date. There's not, which is fine because it tastes good. It's not fine. There's not a date. There should always be a date. Breweries, please put dates on the bottom of your cans, which most of these have. because it really
American
helps the
IPA.
consumer know when you considered it awesome and sent it out the door. Whether or not beer stores kept it warm, cold, was it on the floor, was it in a fridge? I like that one. It borders on juicy. It's tropically fruity.
Not much of a note.
The
on
malt
the
is a little
hops.
lighter. You can even tell by the color. It's not maybe a little less crystal, and it's just, I like that one. Avondale. I know that they're a sticker that I got from people, my homies that live in Alabama. They like the elephant. Roll Tide.
That one I think is in a better condition than the Good People. I feel like it still is maybe not in as good of a condition as it could be. There is kind of an astringent bitterness, which could just be the hops, or it could have something to do with the way it was stored. This one,
I would put these two in my top 3, though. I'll say
this has got a sweet name. It's IPAcalypse now, IPAcalypse now. So you got your your movie reference. It's got a cool skull. And army fatigue, and it's got the beach. I love the smell of napalm in the morning, etc. Charlie don't surf, but it does not taste very good. Unfortunately, it's maybe one of the bottom couple of this run.
And unfortunately, I do think this is this could be. This was canned the most recently of all of them, September 14th, or September.
Very buttery.
I think this is a diacetyl thing.
Very buttery.
And it's not the end of the world. I think the brewery could figure out, and here we are, 2 guys that don't own a brewery, judging. But I've had beers with people at breweries here locally who they realized that their steam out was not angled enough to actually get out and was like condensating, coming back in. There's so many small things depending on what scale you're starting at, but I hate to say it, Florence, because I love Florence, Alabama, but Singin River, this definitely got to us in Minnesota a month and 6 days later with some buttery
It's hard to say if it's a brewery situation, either recipe or brewing process, or if it's packaging, or if it's storage. There are a lot of variables. It also made the trip cross country to get up to us. So, yes.
One thing I would say that kind of surprised you is I used to write off a lot of breweries buying a bottle or a can, and this is like 5-10 years ago, before dates were even a little bit more prevalent. And I used to write off brewery after brewery. Then you'd go to the brewery and it'd be good. But what did it more than anything was working in a brewery with a full-on lab and doing side by side 30 cold stored with 30 warm stored, 60 cold stored with 60 warm stored. And I guarantee you, your favorite beer on this planet stored for 30 days at 70 degrees, you'd hate it. And you would hate the brewery. And it's not fair to the brewery. I ain't putting it all on retail, but there's definitely, if you're in a state with 2 or 3 tiers, they need to work together.
Yeah.
It's like a roulette at this point.
And I hope that, Gary, you're not taking any personal offense on any of this. It's nothing about that. I'm just trying to give an honest reaction, which I feel like the comments that I get when I do have some criticisms of my beers or other beers that I've taken, usually I get a comment to the effect of, I appreciate when you are critical.
I just think a lot of people
being real.
I know a lot of people still don't know the multiple layers of getting a beer from a brewery to you, especially via most likely a retail store. You could have went to the breweries and bought these, but I have a feeling you went to a mixed 6 shelf at a really cool bottle shop. We've got them here in the Twin Cities, and a lot of them, they're not keeping up with dates, they're not moving things, they're not rotating them to cold. I hate to say it like that, but it's this really big, it's this long process to get a beer to your glass from the brewery in as good of shape as you would have it at the brewery.
The Cahaba one was a little bit overcarbonated opening the can, and as it's sitting here, it's still throwing off a lot of bubbles. It actually tastes like it might have a little bit of a infection. I feel like.
I didn't say that. I want to.
Did you try it?
That's kind of a lot in it.
Yeah, there's a lot in there because this is so carbonated.
August 18th.
Try a sip.
I actually just did and was thinking about moving it closer to like not the top 3, but...
Oh, really?
I feel like it's doing a kind of session
It's really
IPA
astringent.
thing.
You know what? That might be, because it's 4.1%, only 35 IBU according to...
They call it a pale, but I think this is...
That's true.
Actually, that session IPA where... And
Thinner.
it's not bad, it's just
That's
thinner.
why I'm thinking,
I
I don't like what I'm tasting.
That's why as it got
actually...
warm, I was like, alright, I'm going to move this a little closer.
That's fair. I mean, that's
If you could see this from above, it's like Battleship.
Now, the coolest name and logo...
And concept, I would say.
...is the Mandarin Chief.
The Mandarin
And
Chief.
so you have a president likeness. That's all I'm going to say about that. But Imperial
Gadsden, Alabama,
Black
y'all.
IPA with Mandarin oranges, and you are one to have used clementines. I guess that's not the...
I know some people from Gadsden, Alabama.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to your peeps.
G-Town.
This one, so it's 11%, right? Or that's what Gary wrote down on the paper. I'm going to assume he's right. He did say it was higher. This one is, I mean, it's kind of, when you make a stout, it's an easy style to make, at least to be tasting okay, because you have some of the roasted grains, you have a little bit more just kind of stuff going on.
But it's an Imperial Black IPA.
Well,
Just
I was
to be
referring
anal
to the
about it.
blackness. It's none more black. It's, there's a little bitterness. I don't think I can get the oranges.
Yeah, this is one that you don't have a date on, so we don't know. Granted, that alcohol is going to let it preserve itself. I get just a little bit of oxidation, but I also can definitely get the Imperial Black through.
Yeah, it's big
through the fog.
It's not boozy. I mean, that's sometimes dangerous, but
I guess I don't get the orange either. I mean,
yeah,
you get a little of it in the
subtle.
very back, almost like an orange candy. Way in the back. But it could also be, you know, married with the hops. The hops might be kind of citrusy.
It's a big flavor. I mean, it's a big
beer.
Good sipping flavor. I mean, if you're gonna drink a big flavor with a little bit of roast character compared to a pale ale that's sort of maybe beyond its best, you know, condition, I would rather just drink this, I guess, because it's just kind of more different things going on.
I do like that what we got is a lot of pales and IPAs. There's not, and I don't know where Alabama is in the sours and the milkshakes and the hazies, but it was nice to actually get a flight of beer that looks like beer and tastes like beer, to where you can actually kind of give a legit analysis.
It's
of
sort
some
of
these things.
a standard, you know, what are the pale ales and the IPAs coming out of Alabama tasting like. So we will continue to sample these a little bit. I don't know if this was that entertaining.
Insert
what's the word?
here.
Instructional, informational, helpful, interesting.
He's like, maybe I won't ever send you a bottle.
Maybe
of
nobody
beer.
will send me beer ever again if this is going to be the result. But I think I liked his stories about doing the sensory sort of stuff, because I have not worked in a brewery and I have not done that. You actually know this beer was, you know, stored warm. This beer was stored cold.
If you're a home brewer, I mean, we should do an episode with like Rebecca Newman or somebody from one of these labs. But like, yeah, if you are, especially if you're a bottler, if you bottle homebrew, leave 2 out away from the fridge once they're carbonated and you're putting them cold, and taste it 30 days later, 60 days later. It'll be an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. But this was fun. I've never tried any of these. I don't even think I've had a single thing from any of these breweries, let alone any of these actual beers. So it was super fun. It's very nice of you, Gary, to send these. I hope this was not disappointing of a review. I've totally enjoyed this experience, and I will definitely drink more of the ones that I like the most out of these, which is probably the Cheatin Heart, the Mandarin Chief, and I suppose, like you were saying, like this one, yeah, those are probably the 3 in the best condition right now. That's about it from St. Paul, on a snowy October day. Catch you later.
Yeah, if nothing else, you've got sun today and we don't.
Oh,
we have
boy.
snow.
We have snow. It's rubbish.
Roll Tide!